Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. I want to first of all apologize for the background music in my last few videos, actually most of my videos. And I've taken aboard your feedback and I'm going to completely get rid of it. And from now on, it's just going to be my voice. And you're 100% right. The music does detract a lot from what I'm saying. And yeah, it is quite annoying after listening to quite a few videos afterwards. I realize how annoying it is. So thanks for the feedback, and I want to carry on improving. So any more feedback or improvements or suggestions, please pass them my way. So I'm very grateful to that. So anyway, on with the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. As you know, channels like this don't get much views on YouTube because of the algorithms and because it's about China and things like that. So I don't get as much views as I normally should have, but if you can kindly help in terms of subscribing, like pressing the bell button and also sharing the videos, it would be very much appreciated. Also, due to the subject matter of a lot of things I speak about, for example, politics, geopolitics, a lot of sensitive subjects I talk about as well. So I get a lot of strikes against my channel, and a lot of videos don't get monetized, and a lot of videos are limited monetization or not monetized at all, which I don't really mind, to be honest, because I like to still speak the truth. I am who I am, and I like to kind of reach out to as wide a audience as possible. So it's not about the money, but the money does help. And if you do want to support my channel, and if you like my channel, and if you want to continue supporting what I talk about and my content, then kindly please subscribe to Patreon and as well as buy me a coffee. I'll send the link on the description. Any little helps really. I mean, it's not about the money. I still like to speak the truth out there, but your support makes me want to do even more, makes me want to try harder, and your support is very much valuable, and it's the reason why I keep making videos. So, as you know, it takes a lot of time making videos. I have to do a lot of research. I need a lot of equipment, editing time, and things like that. So I don't mind doing it, but I really appreciate you guys' support and feedback, and this is the reason I kind of do it. So yeah, so on with the show. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about UK, a subject which is close to my heart because I live in UK. And we're also going to be talking about China as well a little bit, and how they're linked. Um, some of you have put on the comments saying I'm not very nationalistic, I'm a traitor to UK, but I don't see it that way. I'm very proud to be British. I was born here in UK, and I want the best for this country as any other British national, really. I want the best for this country. But sometimes, there's political decisions or the government makes decisions that the public don't agree with. Things like going to Iraq war, their stance on China, their stance on Xinjiang, their stance on Palestine. There's a lot of things that I don't agree with the government with. Just because I don't agree with the government with what they're doing doesn't make me a traitor, doesn't make me less nationalistic. I like to speak the truth, and I want my government to do well, make decisions based on common sense, and also want my country to do well as well. So any comments about I'm not nationalistic enough, that's just bullshit, really. I want UK to do well. I want, UK to prosper. I want my future kids to have a great life and, environment in UK. I want them to have a, good life. So yeah, I am nationalistic really. So any comments saying otherwise, they don't know what they're talking about. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about is the geopolitics of UK and how it compares to China. So as you can see from this map, you see where Britain is, and a lot of people don't realize the meaning of geopolitics. What exactly does geopolitics mean? Geopolitics is basically geography and politics mixed into one, and basically it's politics based on your geography. So if you look at Britain's map, can you see China anywhere near UK at the moment? Because according to British parliamentaries and British government, China is the number one threat in Britain's geopolitics. Well, first of all, can you see any China? Can you see China anywhere here in this map? No, you can't because Britain has got its geopolitics completely wrong. Your geopolitics should be based on countries which are near UK, which either are a threat or could be a future threat. So, in terms of future threats, I can only see two countries here really. In terms of future threats, you've always got Russia, um, but Russia, to be honest, has not been a threat to UK for God knows how many years since the Soviet had disintegrated, and then you got all of these NATO countries here protecting any advancement that Russia may think of going. So Russia's got to go through Europe. It can come through here as well, but it's highly unlikely, to be honest, guys. Britain is protected by Europe for any Russian invasion. So in terms of Russia attacking Great Britain, it's highly unlikely, even in the next 100 years. It's not going to happen. The only other threat that I can see, or people can see, which are not a lot of people are talking about, is this continent here. And this is Africa, guys. And a lot of people don't know that the population of Africa is rising 4 times as much as England. So in the next say 40 years or even 50 years, you can see the population of African countries are going to shoot up. And what does that mean? So, I mean, if you look at China with its 1.4 billion people, people are a resource. So you got all of these people paying tax or adding to the GDP. This will increase the country's GDP. The country will get richer. There will be more heads, more scientists, more mathematicians, coming up with, you know, research, coming up with cutting edge research. There'll be more business people starting their own businesses or starting unicorn companies. So there'll be a lot more people in Africa. And as Africa gets richer, their military budget will be higher. And in maybe 50 to 100 years, when you got the population of Africa, which is 4 or 5 times the size of UK, or even 10 times the size of UK, I'm just giving an estimate. Um, and these countries start becoming more and more richer than UK. And then all of these countries have a high military, and you see their military expenditure increases, and suddenly countries like Morocco, Algeria, you'll see them having naval bases around here. You'll see them having a bigger air force than UK. So in terms of geopolitics, Africa would be the next geopolitical threat to the UK. I mean, I know you guys are saying it's highly unlikely now because not now because Africa is still pretty poor. But what about in 50 years or 100 years when they have a huge population, they have a huge growth in the next 50 years to 100 years, and suddenly, like China, they've got a massive military, and what's Britain gonna do? Because as you can see, all they need to do is come through the Atlantic Ocean, and that's it. That's a threat to UK. Um, but the problem with Britain, they don't really think about the long-term things. Geopolitics for a country is based on its own geography in the world and what matters to that particular country. Um, right now, UK is following USA's geopolitical games, and USA's geopolitics is completely different from UK geopolitics. So because USA you got the Atlantic Ocean separating Europe, Africa, etc. And you got the Pacific Ocean, which is separating Asia, and you got China. So Americans' geopolitics is much more different. So Americans see China as a threat because across the Pacific Ocean, you got China, which is, building up a huge military might. So the US obviously sees China as a threat to their geopolitics, but China is not a threat to UK, and UK is just following USA's geopolitics, and that's where the UK ministers and UK government are getting things completely wrong, and that's why they're following blindly, helping USA's geopolitics rather than looking at their own geopolitics. And that's the short-sightedness that a lot of politicians, prime ministers have in UK, and that's the problem really. A lot of them are privately tuitioned. For example, Boris is a private school student, so he doesn't really know much about the outside world. He doesn't know what it's like to grow with no money, or what it's like to grow up as a lower class or a middle class. He doesn't know what the problems are around the world, or even problems are around UK. I mean, Boris is one of the a lot of Muslim community don't really like Boris because he said once that women with hijabs, they look like letterboxes, ninja letterboxes. So he was quite he offended a lot of Muslim people. So I mean, if there was an election, a lot of Muslims will not, vote for Boris really. So that's just, things like when he makes comments like that, it just shows a lack of understanding, and it just shows his private school tuition. He just does not know what's going on around the world, especially in UK. And recently, guys, there was a hearing about COVID, um, and which Dominic Cummings, his previous advisor, basically spilt the beans, and he just shows what a shambles the UK government is, and what a shambles the Prime Minister is. So that's a talk for another video. So I'm not going to be going too much into that. So I just wanted to start with the geopolitics of UK, and I also wanted to go into the next map here. And this red line is basically the Arctic sea route that's been planned. And as the ice basically disappears from around this area, as the world gets warmer and warmer, a lot of ice around here is disappearing. So you have this Arctic sea route that's been planned between Russia and China, and China is around here. So China and Russia are working along this route. They're making a lot of seaports. They're creating a lot of icebreaker ships as well, and they're working together for this route. And as you can see, this route goes across these Arctic Russian sea waters, and look where it ends up. It ends up right next to UK. So as you know, Rotterdam is the BRI endpoint. So Rotterdam, from Moscow to Rotterdam, this is where the BRI ends. So a lot of these Arctic sea routes will end in Rotterdam, but also there could be some going to Norway, some going to Faroe Islands. But if Britain played his cards right, there could have been ports in UK right here around England or Scotland, and they could have worked with China. And if they created a port here, like there's a port here between Greece and China, and look how busy that port is in Greece. It's one of the busiest ports in Europe. So they could have, did a port here right in UK, and that could have been the busiest port in Europe if England played its cards right. But no, they rather be against China and against Russia, and that basically cuts them off from this Northern Sea route. I mean, Russia and China could easily say to England, piss off, you're not allowed to use this route. This is mainly ours. So, England, in terms of geopolitics, they're getting the whole geopolitics game wrong. They need to work with countries like Russia, especially now that they're out of Europe, um, to and just look at the next 50 to 100 years, and I just think they're completely got their wires crossed, and they're blindly following USA, and USA has got its own geopolitical issues and geopolitical games, and they're just blindly following US policies rather than looking at their own policies, and which is kind of embarrassing, to be honest, because you would think politicians and government would think with their heads and think about the future, next 50 to 100 years, and ask themselves, in terms of geopolitics, who is our main threat the next 100 years? Be realistic, it's not China, it's not Russia, it's going to be Africa. I do have a lot to discuss. So I'm going to kind of fast track to a lot of these research pages that have been coming through. So I'm going back to my first page. China becomes top importer into the UK. So recently, China has overcome Germany as UK's number one importer. So that tells me two things. Number one, UK is basically importing goods from China, and obviously there's tariffs there and things like that. There's no free trade or anything like that. So wouldn't it be a good idea to work with China and work out a good trade solution between the two countries? If China's become a top importer of the UK, it just makes good sense to talk with China, talk about trade, and come up with a good solution because they're not part of Europe anymore. They're independent. Because of Brexit, it just makes sense to have good relations with China, get rid of some of these tariffs, and improve trade. I mean, if China's already the top importer, then Britain's going to be losing out because they're paying extra tariffs when they could have had easily a good trade solution with them, and they're just paying money for nothing really. Not only are they paying over the odds, but they're also losing a lot of manufacturing in UK as well because they're importing goods from China, which are cheaper. So they kind of shot themselves in the foot there, really. So instead of any trade deals happening between UK and China, Britain is pushing through trade deals with Australia, especially when it comes to British beef. And British beef, a lot of farmers are now complaining the fact that them pushing through this trade deal with Australia would put a lot of UK farmers out of business because UK beef and UK um, beef industry is a lot more expensive because they have to go through a lot more checks, a lot more health checks, and they got to go through a lot of procedures just before they sell their beef to UK or Europe or any other countries. But but Australia doesn't have the same regulations, so that means Australian beef can sell a lot cheaper. And if Britain imports these Australian beef to UK, it could put a lot of UK farmers out of business. So as you can see, the the UK government is not thinking much about trade. They just giving in to the demands of the Australians. And some of these trade deals take years and years to negotiate, but I don't think UK is doing that. They're just trying to push through any free trade deal they can get really without even thinking about the geopolitics aspects or the long-term aspects. Things like that is just going to ruin the British farmers industry, and already the fishing industry is completely gone. And there's a lot of other industries which I'm going to be talking about, which is also gone as well. So instead of mending relations with China, you can see articles like this coming up, and this came up today. You can see the date. British agents think it's feasible COVID came from a Wuhan lab leak. And this is British intelligence, by the way, which a bunch of idiots, in my opinion. And instead of mending relations with China, they're still coming up with this bloody story about Wuhan lab leak. I mean, why can't they just let it lie down? I mean, who already investigated? And they said it's highly unlikely that it came from a lab. So why can't you just bloody leave it, instead of coming up with this story all the time? It's coming out from India, now it's bloody coming out from US, and now UK is following suit as well. And things like this just going to piss off the Chinese even more. And they're just, losing credibility, to be honest, by doing this. And not only are they pissing off the Chinese government, they're also pissing off the Chinese people. So this is why, really, I'll go to the next article here. 32% rise in Chinese tourist spend at UK shops. But you can see the date here, March 13, 2008. So before all of this COVID, before all of this trade war, and 2018 was a time when relations between China and UK were doing really, really well. And at that point, there was a huge, huge influx of Chinese tourists. Chinese were spending a lot of money in UK at the time. And as you can see here, basically figures saying Chinese visitors in UK grew by 32% in 2017, building on a 26% rise in 2016. Chinese visitors to UK soared to 150% in 5 years since 2012. So you can see Chinese visitors to UK were rising before 2018. They're spending a lot of money, contributing to the GDP of UK. So things were looking really good. It was only like a few years ago. So since the bloody government started being anti-China and stuff, and you can see a lot of hate crimes have been risen against Chinese people in UK during COVID-19, and because of their anti-Chinese government stance as well. Um, and since then, you can see articles such as this. Bicester Village designer mall loved by Chinese tourists is deserted with trade down 85% after the coronavirus outbreak. But what they don't mention is this, is not because of the coronavirus, it's because of this government's anti-Chinese stuff that they're pushing out. And it's because of that. It's because of the government stance against China. And a lot of Chinese people are put off coming to UK, and why should they come to UK and spend their money? Why should they visit UK? It just makes no sense. And a lot of UK people don't realize, well, why are we not getting any more Chinese tourists anymore? It's because of the way the UK government is acting against not only the Chinese government, but also the Chinese people. And you can see here, UK tourism has a deficit of 33.9 billion in 2019, with 88% of that due to air travel. And this is not good for UK. I mean, so it's already losing a lot of money due to Brexit. So the tourism industry has been hit very hard in UK at the moment. And and you got to think about tourism in terms of China. There's 1.4 billion people in China, and it's not, they're not a land full of poverty anymore. A lot of them are middle class, and a lot of them want to travel to other countries. So why would they come to UK when, you got violence against Asians on the rise, governments completely anti-Chinese, companies coming up with stupid stories about Wuhan leaks all the time. So why should they come to UK and spend their money? They'd rather go to another country which is friendly to China and spend their money elsewhere. It just makes no sense. And the government is just, it's just a bunch of fools, to be honest. Um, I also want to talk about UK's tourism industry has also been affected by the EU as well. So as you know, because of Brexit, there's also a lot of rules now in place where it's hard for UK citizens to travel to EU. You've got to do a few more paperwork and stuff. It's not free travel between EU countries anymore. And the same with EU countries. EU countries, they're finding it hard to come to UK because you can see EU tourists complain of fingerprinting at UK border. So they're coming up with all these stupid rules and regulations where you have to, you know, um, give your fingerprints on the border, and a lot of people are being put off, and they feel like they're being treated like criminals. And if you think about it, guys, UK citizens going to Europe versus Europeans coming to UK, can you see the difference? There's X amount of millions of people in Europe, I mean in UK, compared to millions and millions and millions more living in Europe. So there's a lot more Europeans that could come to UK versus a lot less UK people going to Europeans. So shouldn't you think UK should make the border easier for Europeans to come in? But no, they're not. They're making it harder, which means Europeans are not coming to UK, Chinese are not coming to UK. So so you can see the difference here, guys. I mean, the European tourism industry is suffering a lot, and it's not just because of COVID. It's also because of the government strategy and what they're doing in their borders. And you can see here, Chinese tourists to UK, United Kingdom slipped 86% in COVID hit 2020. 86%. That's a big, big drop. You know, Um, this brings me to my next web page. This is the national debt that UK has at the moment. And you can see here, the public sector debt is calculated at 2.076 trillion in October 2020, and the UK GDP is over 2 trillion, which means the debt is higher than the GDP, which is crazy, guys. I mean, this is the first time in my history I've seen the debt go over the UK GDP. So pretty much UK is fucked. If they don't do something about this soon, our children or our children's children would have to pay for all of this debt. And how? And don't forget, this was in October 2020. And since October 2020, UK has been in a national lockdown. So that debt has probably gone up a lot more since then. And I would probably estimate another extra trillion, to be honest, because of the all the stimulus plans the government has been spending, and not forgetting all the borrowing they have been doing, and also all the government payouts to companies to stop people from being redundant, and payouts to businesses that have been affected. So there's a lot of money that's not reflected in this graph. So I would estimate that's gone up a lot more, probably by an extra trillion, to be honest. And it's absolutely crazy. And the amount of debt that the government have, and they still don't see the big picture. They are still playing these stupid geopolitical games with China and with USA. And is USA helping UK's debt? Is USA giving UK a free trade deal? No, nothing. US basically promised UK a free trade deal if UK left Europe. That was one of the main reasons UK had left Europe, because USA at the time said, "Oh, we'll give you a free trade deal. You are our partners." And once UK left Europe, what did USA do? I mean, Trump at the time, he said, "No, USA comes first, USA first." So pretty much USA stabbed UK in the back, really. They did not sign any free trade deals with the UK, and left UK high and dry. And they're still not learning the lessons. At the time, what UK should have done is said to USA, guys, you guys are not giving us the trade deal you promised. So what we'll do, we'll sign one with China or something like that. They should have done something like that, but no, they're just completely blinded, really. And it really pisses me off how ridiculous and how short-sighted a lot of our politicians are. And it is quite embarrassing. It's very, very embarrassing. So I want to continue with some of these articles just to prove my theory. And you can see here, tourist numbers to the UK are down while global figures continue to rise, which means people are traveling more elsewhere and traveling less to UK. UK is the only country in Europe losing inbound tourism, which means more countries are traveling within Europe and less people are coming to UK, which is right, because if you're living in Europe, you're going to be traveling more from Europe to Europe, because you're having to travel with less restrictions and less headache and heartache. And there's a lot more countries in Europe, and if they travel between each other, it's a lot less hassle. It's cheaper for them, and but you come into UK, you got to do more red tape, and you got to give in your fingerprints, and it's just a lot more hassle, to be honest. And what the politicians should have done, should have made entry into Europe, into UK, a lot more easier for Europeans. But no, because of Brexit, they're just making it harder for Europeans to come into UK, and UK is just going to suffer, really. Um, so going to this article here, UK trade to EU plunges by 23% in a year as Brexit and COVID hit hard. So I'm just going to go back to the geopolitics side of things. In terms of geopolitics, you trade with your neighboring countries more than you would with countries which are very far away from you in terms of geopolitics or geography. So if UK trade to Europe plunges by 23%, that's not good news. EU is UK's neighbor, so that trade should be the highest, not China, not America. It should be EU. So even though UK have left Brexit, um, they should be working hard, and EU should be their number one partner in terms of trade. They should be working more with the EU, but no, they rather work with Australia and all these Canada and countries which are no, in terms of geopolitics, have no, you know, there's no geographical sense of working with them. So it's just, again, short-sightedness by the government, really. I also want to talk about this, which is a quite a funny article, really. Um, a lot of you don't know, but there's a Eurovision Song Contest which is held every year between all the European countries, and UK is part of that. And recently, UK got 0 points. As you can see, United Kingdom, absolutely zero. Nobody voted for United Kingdom by the rest of Europe. And a lot of you, some of you might not realize Eurovision Song Contest, but um, it's quite a very political contest around Europe, and sometimes you get voted not because of your talent, but how you get along with your neighboring country. So, for example, Lithuania will probably vote for its neighboring countries I likes the most rather than UK, and things like that. Italy would vote for its country that it likes most, and other countries would vote for a country that they like more rather than the actual talent. So, as you can see, when United Kingdom gets 0 points, a lot it tells you that a lot of Europeans are just fed up of UK and they don't want to vote for UK or they don't like UK. And that just shows really after Brexit and their relationship with the Europeans and how low it's gone. And the fact that UK is not very liked around Europe, you know, again, it shows the politicians' weak um, geopolitical games, and what they need to do is work with Europeans and build a better relationship, but also, work with countries such as China as well, and but also not follow USA's policies, but have their own policies when it comes to trade and foreign relationships with other countries. Britain just needs to start again from a clean slate and just have fresh relationships with countries all over the world, not follow USA blindly. So if USA say, "Oh, don't follow China," Britain's like, "Yes, sir, yes, master, yes, master." Just follow USA's geopolitics. It's just ridiculous, really. It's really bad foreign politics. It's really bad geopolitics, and it just shows that some of these politicians just have no brain when it comes to foreign relations. I want to finally come on to the financial side of things. A lot of people don't know how hard Britain is being hit by not only Brexit, but also COVID as well. And you can see here 82% of UK businesses took COVID-19 financial hit, average of 192,000 per company. So you can see the huge financial hit that UK companies are being hit. You can see here UK manufacturers lose revenue and business since leaving the EU. So the stats are there. There's not one good benefit from UK leaving the EU, not one. But there are hundreds and hundreds of articles such as this that UK is losing business, UK is losing revenue. Um, you got articles such as this, China overtakes Germany as UK biggest import market, which I've already gone through. But then again, you also got articles saying New York wins Brexit, swap shake-up as clearing stays in London. So basically, it means that New York is actually, you can see here, Brexit forced Britain to relinquish 2.3 trillion pounds in monthly derivatives trading, leaving New York the global winner in the shake-up of the market. So this article was released. You can see May 11th. So basically, it means that New York has been the winner of Brexit, really, because they have taken 2.3 trillion pounds in monthly derivatives from London. So because of Brexit, a lot of business is going to New York. It's also going to other European countries such as Amsterdam. It's also going to Frankfurt, and it's also going to Paris as well. You can see from this article here, London position as a financial hub is not sustainable, says EU. So on January 1st, Brexit transition period ended with Amsterdam surpassing London as Europe's largest share trading centre a month later. In March, 100 billion of Irish securities had shifted from London to Brussels. And you can see slowly, chip by chip, London is losing its value in the financial centre. So there's a thing called equivalence, really, and I want to kind of brush on this equivalence part. And a lot of people don't know what it means, but it means basically here the most important decision for financial stability has already been granted, allowing European firms to continue using London's dominant clearing houses. The decision only lasts until end of June 2022. So basically, this equivalence means London's going to continue trading in terms of clearing houses until June 2022, and after that, EU is probably going to be saying, "Oh, sorry, we can't allow London to continue doing this. We're not going to allow equivalence to London," and that would be a huge blow to London, really. I mean, chip by chip, sector by sector, London is being hit. Firms are moving out of London. As you can see, trillions worth of businesses leaving UK as US, EU take over financial services. So financial services are the bread and butter of UK. It is the biggest sector, biggest money-making sector. As you know, a lot of financial companies pay a lot of tax. They hire a lot of high-paid salaries, and these taxes, salaries, these people are businesses are moving abroad. High-paid executives are moving abroad, which takes a huge chunk out of UK business, really, and a lot of people don't realize this. And when Boris Johnson basically came out of the Brexit trade negotiations, saying, "Oh, we've signed a Brexit trade deal with the EU," the financial services he missed out. He did not cover in the trade deal with the European Parliament. So that is the financial sector is the bread and butter. And I work in the financial sector, guys. I work in Canary Wharf, and I've been working from home for the past few years. And my office basically recently said they're not going to renew the lease in Canary Wharf. And I went to Canary Wharf just a few days ago, and it's absolutely empty, completely empty. My colleagues are all working from home, and the whole of Canary Wharf, every office in Canary Wharf, all the employees are working from home. So a lot of businesses are just selling up their offices in Canary Wharf. There's no need for paying rent for all these offices, when you got all your employees working from home. So a lot of these companies are just stopping rent. And the same in the also the financial center in Bank as well. There's an area in London called Bank. That's where all the banks reside, and there's a lot of financial centers in there as well. And that's empty as well. A lot of my friends work in finance in the bank area. Even they're saying they're working from home, and the whole of bank area has been is empty. There's nothing there. It's like a ghost town. And now a lot of these empty offices in bank, they're turning them into apartments because there's nothing else they can do really. There's no money coming in the sector. So I just want to kind of give you kind of a grim assessment of how England is doing really, and it's not very good. And a lot of it is hidden behind COVID. They're saying, COVID is causing all of this, but no, it's not. They're just hiding behind COVID. It's actually Brexit is causing this, but it's also their policies as well, the geopolitical policies they have, the financial impact that is having based on their policies, you know, the stupid geopolitical games they're playing with China and their foreign policies, all of that coming together is taking a big hit in UK. And the biggest issue is you know, basically the way they're handling China, really. China should be their biggest market. It's a rising market. It's going to be the biggest economy in the next 10 years. And also, Africa is the next, basically, Africa is going to be UK's next geopolitical target. And who do you think is investing the highest in Africa at the moment? Of course, it's China. So wouldn't it be in Britain's interest to work with China and work with Africa and build good relationships with China, with Africa? Because
once Africa becomes, Africa's population is rising 4 times as much as UK, and in the next 20, 30 years, it's just going to boom really. And Africa's economy is one of the fastest rising economies in the world. And China's already in that market, they're in every single African market and they're helping with the infrastructure, they're helping with the business, and China will benefit from that. Isn't it a good idea to work with China and work with Africa and to build good relationships all over the world? You've just, you're just basically, you've hit Brexit, you've come out of Europe, and wouldn't it be a good idea to just to start fresh and start building good relationship with every single country around the world? Well, wouldn't it be a good sense to do that? I mean, I just don't understand why they're following USA blindly, because they're not getting any benefits from USA. They're not getting any free trade deals from USA. Is USA going to help UK in terms of its financial problems? No, it's not. USA is going to look after its own issues. USA has got its own issues to deal with. They're not going to bail out UK or help out UK in any way. So I just wanted to kind of finally say UK has got its geopolitical games completely wrong. And it's time for UK to open its eyes and just look around the globe, look at the geography, see where its threats really are, and ask themselves, is China really a threat to UK? Is Russia really a threat to UK? No, they're not. And UK needs to stop following USA blindly and start looking at its own issues, look at the next 20, 50, 100 years, look at the countries they need to be working with in the future, and just start again with a clean slate and just, start building relationships, you know, with countries around the world. I mean, right now, UK seems like USA's lapdog, and it's just not a good thing, really. I mean, it's just not a good sell. They're hated around Europe. You can see from the Eurovision Song Contest how much people hate UK. They're hated around Asia. I mean, you got 1.6 billion people in China who hates you. Um, and then you literally are hated because of the colonial past that you've had. I mean, you're not trusted in India and stuff. You might think you're friends with India, but you're not. The Indians still remember of the 300 years of pillaging and the raping of the country that you did, took away all their treasures and what you did to Indian. Indians still remember that, even though the government of India, they're still kind of lapdogs of USA as well. But a lot of people of India have not forgotten what Britain has done. So you do have a really bad past, UK. So it's time you start again with a completely clean slate. You know, stop thinking about you're the same imperial colonial Britain that you used to be, where you're not a superpower anymore. You need to start thinking independently with your own brains. You got your own brains. You need to start looking at the map, working out your own geopolitical gains, not looking at USA, not listening to whatever the USA does. You need to make up your own decisions, and that way you'll be more respected around the world, and people in UK will respect you more. People around you outside UK will respect you, and things will improve. And in terms of financial, the current government is just ruining this country, and you can see how much money this country is losing, and the way it's going, we could be hitting huge recession, which we're not going to come out of for years and years. I mean, look at the debt to GDP. It's scary. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like our children, our children's children will have to pay off these debts, for years and years, and it's just not fair. So anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to say about this subject. So let me know what your thoughts are, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, and also send me any more feedback. And don't forget to support me on my Patreon, and also support me on the Buy Me a Coffee. Links will be on the description. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll hope you will have a nice day. Bye.